Sup everyone, welcome back to another video. And yes, I know there's a ton of questions people have been DMing me. Yes, me of all people being Walrus. What should I do now? Is Luocha good? Should I still get Luocha Blade? Is Kafka still worth it? Because I was thinking of skipping Luocha and Blade, going for Kafka, going for damage over time and all this stuff. Now she's got her kit tweaked around a little bit. So what should be the next move? Now, of course, I always have to preface this stuff. Everything is still in the works. Yes, they have been adjusted. Blade has been nerfed a little bit, right? His kit damage rates got bumped down a little bit. Kafka has been redesigned essentially. People really don't like it when it's like, oh, maybe not a nerf, but I just need to clarify with Kafka. Her damage potential as of now has decreased, right? Note, I say damage potential, but the way her kit works, it could be better in the long run for Kafka. So don't think just right now because of these changes and she lost potential damage that never existed to begin with because we don't have the character. Don't think that it's a permanent nerf to Kafka. This is something I didn't mention in my previous video, but I didn't really go full send on, so people kind of got the wrong idea. So I do apologize for that. But yes, Kafka right now is still a good prospect. It's just that EroticWalruss decided to put more back into her own kit, and it's just so that right now she by herself with a few supports and few other synergies just doesn't live up to the potential that people had for Kafka. Right, so with that out of the way, Luocha is the only one that we have right now, and man oh man is this character changing some of the ways we go about this game. Now allow me to explain. On my screen right now, you guys can see Clara, Yukong, Luocha, Silverwolf. This is a team I've been experimenting with, and I find that Yukong is a very interesting character alongside Luocha. It's very difficult to talk about the addition of new characters in the game without mentioning Yukong, because she is going to be, in my opinion, a very prevalent support going forward. However, not many people can really utilize her. For example, people who pulled Jingyuan is going to find themselves in a very tricky spot when it comes to utilizing Yukong. There's a lot of speed tuning to be had when you try to synergize with this character, and in my opinion the easiest way to go about playing Yukong is just to run double DPS with very basic speed tuning. Make sure that the DPSs always go behind Yukong, or make your whole team just slow as crap. Like with Clara, this variation of the team, you just want to make your team as slow as possible. Yukong can be speedy, get the buff on, and then just ignore everything, right? Just don't do anything. Let the enemies go 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 turns for all I care, because Clara is going to be countering through her mechanic. Like a character such as Clara can really abuse the effectiveness of Yukong. Same with someone like Seele can also abuse the mechanics of Yukong. So this is what I mean by that. The way we kind of have played our game so far has now slightly evolved. I foresee double DPSs going forward. For example, remove Silverwolf and put in someone like Blade. That's an interesting concept. I think there's going to be a lot to explore in that avenue. So right now to say, well, we can write off Blade or we can write off Kafka is a little premature still. But since we've gotten Luocha now, the inherent value of this character is not simply in his healing, right? He does provide great healing, he does provide cleansing, he does provide enemy buff shredding. All of these are good things. But in my honest opinion, after playing Luocha for these days, Luocha is a character that's kind of giving in overabundance. So what I mean by overabundance is that he gives so much in his kit, like things that currently is not even really necessary, he gives it. Maybe it's EroticWalruss's way of future-proofing a character, and I can foresee a scenario where annoying ass bosses in the future buffs themselves to high heavens, and you really need someone like Luocha to remove the buffs to have a safe clear or a more consistent clear. I think if those scenarios starts happening more and more, obviously his value is going to go up higher and higher. But as of now, I think he's a great healer. He has cleanse, which it's not uniquely to Luocha, right? I mean, Branya has cleanse, and also March 7th also has cleanse. And on top of that, Natasha also does have a cleanse. So even for people who's like, oh, but I need cleanse for both of my teams, well, you know, March 7th and Natasha are great options to do that as well. So collectively as a whole, Luocha seems just to be like a character that has consolidated a lot of roles into one great overall unit. Now moving on to Blade. I believe that Blade's value has not changed very much, because Blade's value has been to be paired with Luocha, and now with the character Yukong being out, I believe Blade in a double DPS team going forward with Yukong and Clara is going to be phenomenal. If not it's also okay. If you don't have Clara, you can play a single Blade DPS team, maybe with Pella or something like that. Anything can really work as long as you're able to make up for the lost health that Blade is going to incur. Moving on to Kafka, this is the trickiest out of the 3 characters to place in terms of value. I think if you want guaranteed 100% value, Luocha likely will outperform both Blade and Kafka just because of how well he does his job, how comfortable of a character he is to use. He's great on full auto. So for those of you who play everything on full auto, even MOC, Luocha is probably going to be the best option out of these 3. He is such a straightforward character that does so much with so little, if that makes sense. Blade as a DPS character, you can always find replacements, right? DPS is very easy to replace, as you guys should know. Same with Kafka, but Kafka is much harder to replace as opposed to someone like Blade because she does have that unique damage over time, while now it's more focused on applying stacks of her own element onto the enemy. So that's gonna be her niche going forward. We don't know how that's gonna synergize with future characters, so I really cannot comment, right? You're taking a huge gamble. Let's say if you need Luocha, you could really put him to work and utilize him and synergize him, or let's see, you're a Clara main, which he is amazing for Clara. It just generally seems like he's gonna be made as a great pairing for destruction characters. So if you really love a lot of the destruction unit, you're gonna pull for Blade 100%. You already have Clara or you're planning to build Clara. Luocha is going to be such a guaranteed value unit, whereas taking a gamble on Kafka might end up backfiring in a way that you did not expect. Let's say you thought she was going to be played like this. According to previous leaks, you saw, okay, this playstyle is amazing. I really like how she does X, Y, and Z. I can't name things here, but post-release, she then is pivoted towards another playstyle. As more information comes out, I'm going to be able to provide you guys more concrete advice. But as of now, for most people, I think the safe gamble has now shifted from someone like Kafka back into someone like Luocha and Blade pairing. Now, was I biased when I used to recommend Kafka? Yes, I do believe so, because I think Kafka providing a unique way to play a DPS style in the game that we currently do not have is going to service a lot of players who skipped the DPS units prior to her. But if you skipped Jingyuan, if you skipped Seele, Kafka was going to be a better overall pickup for people. But now, even if you skipped Jingyuan and you skipped Seele, I do believe Luocha plus Blade could be able to carry you through a lot of content depending on what other DPSs you have. Even 4-star DPSs have ways to play the game. At the end of the day, I just feel like it's difficult for me to recommend a unit that has so much in the works still and we don't see her potential. Right now, we have to look far beyond patch 1.2 to see what Kafka could end up being like. Currently, yes, she has teams that she's going to be working well with, but a lot of her original strength has been moved into her Eidolon too. So for people who wanted to get a C0 copy to synergize with as a free-to-play team, a lot of that power has now been currently been diminished because of the reworkings to how her kit functions. But currently, what I can say is an amazing option for a lot of people, including free-to-plays, including the lazy people like, oh, speed tuning is so annoying. Yukong Luocha plus a character like Clara has been phenomenal. So if you're one of the lucky few who had Clara show up in your lost 50/50s or on the standard banner, I think you guys are going to be super happy if you were able to pick up Yukong and Luocha. Like, this team combination can crush through Memory of Chaos even with no physical weakness, as long as you make sure that your Clara is slow as crap, like slow as a snail. Yukong, first one to go. Clara, super slow, and just let the game play itself, my guy. Like, you don't even need Silver Wolf. Like, play Pella in the last spot. So you really just need Luocha, Yukong, and bam. Clara doesn't even need her weapon. Get the free-to-play light cone. It's so good. So best of luck to everybody who's summoning, and that's how I got for you guys. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay up to date, because a lot of things can change in the snap of a finger, and I'll be here to cover it all when that happens. Thank you guys so much, and till next time, remember to stay safe. Peace, peace. Bye-bye.